everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm sure we have viewers from all around the world here. Very excited to tune in today to our DigitalOcean Bunnyshell Solutions Tech Talk. This is part of our Tech Talk series. My name is Aaron Geller. I am the go-to-market lead for the Americas region at DigitalOcean, but I work with customers all across the globe. As you see from our friends Bunnyshell here today from Romania, I'm happy to be the moderator and one of the speakers of today's session, and really excited to have all of you join us today. All right, so why don't we get started if it makes sense? So in this series, we bring you a bunch of insights from the cloud industry, the latest developer technology, trends and topics, and also feature some really cool partners, organizations that showcase some really exciting features and what they do on the cloud. So as you know, today's title of the talk and what we'll be talking about is building highly reliable and highly available infrastructure with Bunnyshell and DigitalOcean. Let me introduce our speakers. So we have today my friend at this point and almost colleague some days, Roxana. She is the CTO at Bunnyshell. Bunnyshell is a startup based in Romania, which you'll hear about in just a few minutes. As a tech enthusiast, she is continually expanding her expertise in both cloud and non-cloud technologies. And her dreams include building highly available and efficient infrastructures at scale, like they're doing at Bunnyshell, as well as a highly meaningful life, like the way you think. I personally strive for those things as well, working at an infrastructure company. And then, of course, you're listening to myself, Aaron Geller. I currently, lead partnerships and work on the go-to-market team at DigitalOcean. I've worked across multiple teams in the organization and have a particular expertise and passion for business development. I'm passionate about connecting people, developers, cloud, and when I'm not at my desk, I'm generally outside, depending on the season, skiing, golfing, riding my bike, running, whatever I can do to get out of the house. So again, thanks very much for joining. Roxana, good afternoon. Thanks, good to have you here.
Hi, happy to be here.
Great. So a couple of housekeeping things before we get started, everyone. So all throughout the session, you should have access to the chat window. My wonderful colleagues, Cynthia and Mohan, will be moderating that chat window. So if you've got questions or want to comment or really anything at all, something nice to say, please drop a line in the chat and we'll either get to your questions at the end or Mohan and Cynthia can give you a hand. During the session, if your audio should stop or stutter, please just restart the GoToWebinar. It should work out fine. And of course, we'll be recording this so it can be available to you all for after the session. And then given the work from home scenario that all of us are in today, we're hosting this from all different locations across the globe. So again, there may be a couple bandwidth challenges, but we're trying our best. So appreciate you all bearing with us. And if there's any tips, we're always looking to continuously improve. So moving on to our topic for today, right? Building highly available infrastructure with Bunnyshell and DigitalOcean, featuring myself and lovely Roxana. So let's walk through a quick agenda. So we're going to go through an overview of both DigitalOcean and Bunnyshell. Then we're going to talk about, what are we doing together? What's the power of DigitalOcean and Bunnyshell, and why have we decided to, work together in the fashion we are? We'll talk about a success story we share with Gomag, one of our mutual customers. Then we'll show you a little bit how to get more out of your infrastructure with both Bunnyshell and DigitalOcean. We'll take a look at some real life examples. And we'll follow up with some Q&A. So again, I'm sure you'll have questions, drop them in the chat, and Mohan and Cynthia will queue them up for after our session. So let's dive right in. So first, many of you may be new to this concept. So what is high availability? In computing, the term availability is really used to describe a period of time when a service is available, right? So think about, if you're a customer trying to shop online and you get a 404 and that server is down, you're going to be very upset, right? And so the concept of high availability means we are trying to set, customers up and customers set up their infrastructure in a way that there are no single points of failure, and there's high, SLA meeting levels of performance for that given period of time. That given period of time may be a single day, such as Black Friday, or it may be, forever. And so there's ways you can set up HA in a variety of different situations, and we'll walk through that very shortly. Now, why is this important? Well, when you're setting up a robust production environment, the goal is to minimize downtime for your end users and service interruptions that will kind of ruin the experience for them. And so high availability is super important for many use cases, because at the end of the day, We're serving customers and they don't want not to have access to whatever they're trying to do. Whether that means they're trying to stream from an application or, again, check out, something on a shopping cart. High availability is super important across a variety of different use cases. All right, so first, let's talk about how Bunnyshell interacts with DigitalOcean today. I think this is really important, right? Their customers are using a variety of different clouds, which we'll learn about in just a minute, but there are a key number of features that are really important to the team and customers over at Bunnyshell. So you're going to see some terms here that may sound different, but just for some starters, Droplet is simply VPS, right? Virtual machine. So if you're familiar with AWS terms, EC2 equals Droplet, right? So Droplet, pretty much the most commonly used product at DigitalOcean. It's our first product. And here we are 9 years later with all different types of droplets, which we'll get into. But specifically, the optimized droplets are used a lot at Bunnyshell and with a lot of our production-ready customers because these are guaranteeing you 100% of the cores available, which means you're not going to run into problems like noisy neighbors or steal. Very important for highly available infrastructure, especially during big events. Again, I'm going to harp on this, but such as Black Friday coming up in the US, and actually a couple of weeks ago just happened in Romania, which Roxana will tell you all about. The API, being able to not log into our control panel and systematically and programmatically use our API to spin up resources as needed is really important for everyone, but especially the folks at Bunnyshell. They use our API so they don't have to continuously log into the control panel and use that. So combined with the command line interface, it makes it really easy for them to deploy infrastructure for them and their customers. Spaces is our object storage offering that is S3 compatible. So if you're familiar with S3, Spaces is our compatible product, and they're using that to store files and assets in our object storage offering. Cloud firewalls, very important to have the right firewall rules set up, and so this is something they utilize as well. Our managed database offerings, SQL is just one of the database engines we offer, and we'll learn a little bit more. You'll see some Postgres and some of our other offerings if you check out our database offering online. But these are a couple of the ones that we see mostly used by the team. So Postgres and SQL, and then of course a very important component to this is load balancing. And so this is something that's highly used to distribute that load and make sure we can remain in a high availability setup. And Roxana will tell you about that very shortly. And of course, having a global reach is really important, right? As someone that lives in Boston, Massachusetts, Roxana is in Romania, we may be shopping or watching or streaming the same thing. And having data centers across the world for our customers to be able to access and hit the cart faster or stream with low bandwidth is really important. So these are our data centers today. We have a very strong global reach, and we're continuing to expand as we progress. Going through some of the rest of the services, you heard a little bit about most of them, but we also offer managed Redis as well, and there's some more things coming. You can also find some additional database offerings that aren't managed by us, but you can find some in our marketplace. As far as storage goes, we talked about Spaces and our object storage offering. We also offer a CDN that sits on top of Spaces, so you can cache images faster and enable a CDN via Spaces. Of course, we offer volumes, which is additional SSD for your droplets, local SSD via the droplets. And then when we take a look at the networking features, we talked a bit about firewalls and load balancing. We also have a virtual private cloud. So you can enable VPCs across your network. Floating IPs, again, another important feature we'll talk about in a HA setup, and then a DNS system. And so all of these are features available through DigitalOcean today. And if you've got any questions, please let us know towards the end of the tech talk. Then, of course, some other things for managing easier. So we've got monitoring, so you can monitor the resource consumption on your droplets. Projects and teams are really important if you're an agency or a dev shop working on many different projects, or if you're production ready, want to separate things such as staging, testing, and production. That's where you would utilize something like teams or projects. Check it out if you haven't, it's really useful. Compute, we've talked about Droplet. We also have the optimized droplets, which we touched based on. We have general purpose droplets. Now we have memory optimized and storage optimized. So if you're looking for more of a balance on the memory or storage side, please go check out our offerings. We're continuously iterating there, and excited to have just released some newer sizes. So again, check out our droplet sizes online. And then if you look at some of our developer tools, we have many client libraries. Our API and CLI we've talked about and are used daily by our customers. GitHub Actions, the ability to have custom images set up in your account so you can deploy them anytime. And then we maintain our own Terraform provider in case you need to use Terraform to manage your DigitalOcean infrastructure. So thinking about why DigitalOcean, obviously there are a plethora of infrastructure providers out there. We tend to think that our price performance ratio is very strong. And so if you take a look at some of the analysis done in the space, you can see that we stack up quite nicely on a price performance ratio against some of the larger clouds. And not to say that we do a better or worse job, this is just how we view ourselves standing out and having these really good ratios in terms of price and performance. As I mentioned, here's a map to show it a little better. We've got 13 data centers across 8 global markets today, and should be continuing to expand this presence. But for the majority of our customers, this is a really good spread. And if there is ever something we don't offer, that's when folks will look to utilize our Spaces CDN or CDN, such as Cloudflare, to achieve POPs all over the world. Cool. So I've talked a little bit about DigitalOcean, and I'm sure many of you folks are familiar since we're hosting the webinar, but I'd love to start talking about Bunnyshell, what we do together. And so I'm going to hand it over to Roxana to introduce Bunnyshell and dive into the meat of the talk. So over to you, Roxana.
Hi, I'm very excited to be doing this webinar together with Aaron, as you're already my friend, as you've said. And some things about Bunnyshell. So what Bunnyshell does, it's a self-service platform for automating infrastructure, creating applications, managing application, and provides you with DevOps tools, as we will see in a few seconds. Bunnyshell was founded in 2017. It had its first seed investment round in 2019. We are a team of 20 people, and we are used all over the globe in 77 countries. So let's talk about the benefits of Bunnyshell on DigitalOcean. So the benefits are categorized in 3. Can you switch the slide, please? Okay, so we have infrastructure. So when using Bunnyshell, you can automate infrastructure build. You can build highly available and production-ready infrastructure. Bunnyshell secures those with firewalls and application firewalls, patching, and everything that you need on security. You can use provisioning, choose whatever packages, web servers, programming languages you are using, choosing the versions and managing through the Bunnyshell platform. We do load-balanced environments with auto-scaling for high availability, and also self-healing, which is restarting services if they are found not to perform correctly. For the applications, we have one-click applications, so you can quickly deploy a new popular application from the ones that Bunnyshell supports, but also have the opportunity to deploy your custom application through automation scripts. We have 0 downtime deployments, which are very important for e-commerce applications, for example, and you can choose from a variety of methods to deploy, such as rolling deployments and blue-green deployments. And also manage your applications, such as adding crons, changing domains, SSL certificates, or redirects. For the DevOps tools, you will get everything that a DevOps person would do in a company. So you get backups, monitoring, log aggregation, specific application alerts, and enhanced monitoring, which we will see in a few seconds. So the main benefit of creating the infrastructure, next slide, please, would be the time that you save. So, for example, creating a high available infrastructure for a medium or a large e-commerce platform can take even weeks. So with Bunnyshell, you can spin those in a matter of minutes or hours, depending on how complex it is. And this way, developers can focus on development, and the other departments focus on their departments, such as sales or marketing, and not having to worry if their infrastructure that they are using is correct, if it is highly available, if they have any bottlenecks. And this is really important because time is the biggest issue in all companies that want to focus on their business.
Yeah, and one thing I want to mention here that we love about Bunnyshell is the fact that they are multi-cloud. I know that sounds weird from somebody who's worked at DigitalOcean for the last 4 years, but a lot of our customers utilize multi-cloud for a variety of reasons. If you're in tune with the cloud space, it's the hot new thing is talking about multi-cloud. So we really appreciate and recognize the fact that they work with other clouds, and I think it helps our value prop together be stronger because they're able to use other clouds through Bunnyshell's great platform rather than just one selective cloud. So I think that's really great that you guys are non-inclusive but like to work with us a lot. So
yeah. So let's discuss about the applications. You can deploy one-click application, WordPress, Magento, or Drupal, or most popular application. You have full control of them. You can deploy applications from Git. You have root access to your server. You can choose whatever version you want to use, and the applications are tuned for production-ready environments. They are scalable, they are highly available, and they are secure, which is very important because most applications that are successful are constantly attacked. So security is a big issue in correctly setting your application.
Yeah, and the applications you're seeing here, I know Bunnyshell is constantly trying and working to add new ones. There's also a plethora of applications you can deploy directly from our marketplace. So please, there's over 100 listings in our marketplace, and we're actually working on something exclusively for DigitalOcean and Bunnyshell, a highly optimized first marketplace listing. So stay tuned for some really exciting updates from us as we continue to work on this.
Right. So on the DevOps, what DevOps means is everything that helps developers and business people not worry. So backups are really important, but not only the backups and the restore process, but the way that the backup is done, not to affect the live environment. The way that restore is available, and you get to have multiple backups for a month, and you can choose that. The alerts are already in place when you build infrastructure through Bunnyshell. We already set alarm not only on the operating system, but also uptime alerts for your website, and also alerts that are customized based on what is running on the droplets, such as databases and cache systems. So we also have the enhanced monitoring and enhanced log aggregation features that give you a dashboard, so you can, and we will discuss in the study case, you'll see that you get a dashboard where you can have an overview of what is happening, of what errors are present, and it helps you optimize and debug issues in your infrastructure.
Great. So we're going to jump into some real life examples very shortly, but I think we've talked a little bit about both of our companies and the value we add from an infrastructure and management point of view. But really, when you think about combining DigitalOcean and Bunnyshell, we're talking about two performance solutions that work well alone. Now, when you combine the expertise of folks that we have working here, such as Roxana and her team, myself and my wonderful team, obviously I'm not the most technical person in the world, so I've got a fantastic group of solutions engineers that support all of our partners and customers. And at any time anyone here wants to work with us to try and set up something that you see today or anything at all, we are here and Bunnyshell is here. So beyond the things that we offer as platforms and infrastructure companies, we also have a team that will and is more than willing to support you. I've seen this on multiple occasions. I think you guys have seen the point we've been trying to hit home of delivering production-ready environments confidently and efficiently, right? And really taking out some of the inconsistencies you see with setting up infrastructure yourselves. You can trust us, and that your business and production-ready sites are going to perform as intended with the SLEs you're seeing across the industry. And then, of course, we just touched base on all the DevOps tools that are offered by Bunnyshell and somewhat by DigitalOcean. A lot of these things take a lot of time and resources to build. Bunnyshell has built them for you, and so plugging in your infrastructure is easy, seamless, and provides you with tools that you'll need from day one. You don't have to go out and spend extra money on, budget, and build, and then maintain. So they've done it all for you. And then, of course, you're talking about the infrastructure company and then the company that helps manage that infrastructure. Together, it's a really powerful system, kind of integration, if you think about it from that way, across the clouds. And so I, again, highly urge everyone, and we'll have some links after, to try out Bunnyshell and DigitalOcean together and see the power for yourselves. So we're going to start small here. We're going to start with some smaller deployments and work our way up to a real life example. So Roxana, I'll turn over to you to start talking about how our smallest kind of workload, and we'll again work our way up to some of the larger ones.
Okay, so this is one example of one infrastructure that you can build in a matter of seconds. So this is a fully optimized stack for WordPress. You have the varnish for caching. You have a single web server because it is a small traffic website, and you need maybe only scaling vertically, and you have the databases that are used. So in this scenario, what Bunnyshell does is it creates the environment, it configures the operating system to ensure that there are no limits on the operating systems that prevent the droplet to function at its full capacity, because this is one thing that people don't know. Even when you have many resources on a single droplet, there are some limitations that might be in place on the operating system, on the defaults of the configuration, that won't allow you to benefit of all the resources. So Bunnyshell does that when it creates the instance and when it provisions it. So this is one example of an infrastructure that is ready for production, and it is cost efficient for small website traffic. It also has protection. It is secured using DigitalOcean firewall, and also using in place on the web server, web application firewalls, rate limiting, and DDoS protection. So moving forward to a medium website, a traffic website, what we did here is scale the website. So because this is a medium website, and in most cases the traffic is not constant, so there are hours when you have more traffic, there are hours when you have less. So really auto scaling is the answer here. So what you want to do is add more instances, more resources, which means scaling horizontally to your web server cluster when you have more traffic. And this is easily done through Bunnyshell using auto scaling on DigitalOcean. You can scale your web server based on CPU, based on RAM, based on the traffic you are receiving. So on your peak hours, you benefit from more resources, and then for cost saving, when you have less traffic, the droplets are removed from the cluster. So this is great for medium traffic websites. Medium traffic websites also need separate worker instances. For example, if you have crons, processes that run in background and consume lots of CPU resources, you need a separate cluster for those workers, and they should be auto-scaled maybe. It also depends on the application that you have and how your worker functions. But in this case, for Drupal, it can be auto-scaled. Also, we added another MySQL slave for which we can use to read from, and also a proxy SQL that is used to give the application a single point of entry. So you don't have to change the application, so it uses two databases. You can split the read, so you can scale the read for the database by adding a proxy SQL, which you'll see later, that can be used even for caching queries, which is great. And because we have multiple web servers, we also added an NFS server. So when you have CMS websites, and most websites need to share resources, static resources between servers, you need a flexible file system. And this is what we resolve this issue with at NFS. Another possibility is to have the static data on the object storage. So you can use digital object storage to put your static data and on the object storage, and make your application just send the static data there. And object storage from DigitalOcean also has CDN, and it's great to use, and it greatly optimizes the application, so you don't need another server, and the resources are faster received by the clients because of CDN.
Yeah, one thing I want to call out here that's really important is the auto-scaling functionality that Bunnyshell provides. This is built, maintained, and managed by them. DigitalOcean today does not have an auto-scaling feature across our droplet solution. We do on our Kubernetes offering, which we won't touch too much on today, but there's plenty of other tech talks on our Kubernetes offering. So, the ability to have a partner that can work with our customers on auto-scaling to really efficiently scale and downscale and optimize for cost and traffic is super important. So that's a really, really great feature that Bunnyshell has built and maintained, and it's something our 200 plus mutual customers really enjoy using when working on Bunnyshell and DigitalOcean together. Let's jump to a larger deployment here, Roxana.
Okay, so when you have a high traffic site, uptime becomes a really issue, and most businesses need 99.99 uptime SLA. So what we did here is eliminate any bottleneck, any component that if it fails, it results in a total failure for the website. So what we did here, we clustered everything. So now Varnish, the first caching layer, is clustered, and it auto scales based on traffic. All the pages that are not cached in Varnish go to the web server. We also have the admin server separated for security reasons. This is a Magento, and Magento deployments most usually should have admin servers that are secured and also only accessible through firewalls, only by internal people. We have the worker in place, like in the medium traffic site, and also we cluster the Redis. We use Redis Sentinel for clustering, so droplets can be limited in networks. So that's why you want to ensure high available infrastructure, and you want to duplicate all the components and so they can function in a cluster role. So if a Redis fails, more Redises are there to take up the job, and that's what we've done with Elasticsearch and with Proxy SQL as well. So when you talk about high traffic sites, what you don't want to do is not have bottlenecks, not have a thing, non-cluster components. The load balancer here is the single thing that we don't manage, but because it works great, DigitalOcean all scales it internally, and it can handle huge amounts of traffic.
Great. So shifting gears to those are example stories, and I'm sure there's many deployments out there that mimic those. We know that there are. Let's shift gears to a real story that we've both worked on together. So Gomag is a customer of Bunnyshell for a long time, and recently they've moved infrastructure to DigitalOcean because they were seeking great performance, great support, and the best pricing they could get for keeping all of those things at a high quality. And so Bunnyshell turned to us, and we worked on a joint solution together. So Roxana, do you want to tell us a little bit more around Gomag's challenges, their use case from Black Friday, and then we'll actually dive deep into their infrastructure for the folks out there to take a look at.
Sure. So some words about Gomag. Gomag is a software as a service solution in Romania. So what they do is offer you a solution for e-commerce platforms. So you can, if you don't want to handle the infrastructure and the backend server and where your application runs, you can spin up a new e-commerce site in a matter of minutes using Gomag, and Bunnyshell and Gomag take care of your infrastructure. So that's how it goes. And when Gomag migrated to DigitalOcean, it needed a highly available infrastructure that is also cost optimized and very performant. So that's why we asked the DigitalOcean team to help us, and we migrated fully stacked infrastructure, as you will see in 2 days. I think it was, Aaron, right?
Yeah, it was probably the fastest migration I've seen in my 4 years here. So always amazed.
Okay, so let's talk about the daily challenges that Gomag has. So like most high traffic e-commerce platforms and SaaS platforms, it has 99.99 uptime requirement, and that's on a daily basis. High availability, disaster scenarios recover, they should always be in place, no matter how big they grow, because they have been with us for some years, and their infrastructure has been growing from year to year, and we always have to ensure that all components that are added to the infrastructure, maybe new layers of caching, new database types, and new functions, they have to be high available. Also, because they have a lot of servers and a lot of traffic, they receive security challenges. They are attacked on a daily basis. Like most applications are, most websites are attacked, but they receive lots and rate limiting, DDoS attacks. So hardening security is done for them, and we do it on a quarterly period. We revise it and we see if there are new rules that can be applied to harden more. So they do a lot of features every day, and they do deployments. So they need zero downtime, and they choose to do the rolling updates. and of course periodical patching, which is also about security. Quarterly, we check what patches are available. Security patches are done instantly if they appear, and then we migrate them with a rolling deployment in the live environment. And of course, on-demand access to professional expertise, and this is Bunnyshell and DigitalOcean in their case when they have to add new components and new schemas and new high availability scenarios. We give them a solution, and we talk with the DigitalOcean team to find a common ground so that we can solve their issues. And these are the daily challenges that they go through, and sometimes they have big campaigns such as Big Friday, which was in Romania, and everything was nice. So in that case, they need to prepare their infrastructure for a bigger amount of traffic. So this year was 10 more times than the usual traffic they have. They have to add more resources, to estimate how many resources they need in order to handle all the traffic that they estimate to have, and re-optimize, retune their new resources. So this is the challenges that our client has.
Great. Let's jump into their stack and how they've maintained this high number of users as they continue to scale.
Okay, so the layers that we're going to discuss from top to bottom are the HTTP reverse proxy, the caching, the web servers, and the database. And we're going to start with the HTTP reverse proxy. So Gomag uses Cloudflare for DNS and CDN that hits a DigitalOcean load balancer. We need to retain the client IP, the original client IP, and that's why we use the proxy protocol on the DigitalOcean load balancer to solve this issue. And because of the nature of their business, they have lots of certificates. So every shop that they host, every website that they host needs a valid certificate for that domain. And that's why they have hundreds and thousands of SSL certificates that needs to be resolved. And that's why we use a separate layer, Caddy server, for that to handle all the SSL termination, so that the compute power is not wasted on the web servers. So Cloudflare hits a load balancer. The load balancer hits the Caddy servers that does the SSL termination, and they use a DigitalOcean managed Redis server for holding all the certificates that is backed up by DigitalOcean, and they provide all the management here. When after the SSL termination is done, comes the first caching layer, and this is Varnish. Also to mention that the Caddy server is also scaled based on traffic. Caddy performs really good, so even though they have huge amounts of traffic, they didn't need more than 2 droplets. Also, a specification that I would make is that they use only compute optimized droplets. So this is important. Basic droplets are really good. They can be used in there are a lot of scenarios where they are the right solution, but for databases, for critical components, optimized solutions are really great. They are very performant, and if you scale them, you also have the high availability, so they're great. So moving forward to the caching layer. After the SSL termination, we have the Varnish cluster. The Varnish cluster is also scaled based on a RAM and traffic, and provide the second layer. So the first layer of caching is Cloudflare that caches the images, and the second layer is the Varnish that caches the HTTP proxy. The next one is the query caching. So Gomag receives a lot of requests, and most requests end up making a query in the database. So in order not to hit the database very often, what Gomag does is provide 2-layer caching for databases, which means they cache the queries, the result of the MySQL queries in Redis. So this is a way to ensure that your MySQL is not really attacked by your application with too many queries. And another layer of caching is provided by the proxy SQL, which is used to cache for 5 to 10 minutes some queries. So even if you cache a query for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it still gives you a great advantage, because if they receive like 2,000 queries in the same second, if they cache one for 5 minutes, it's a huge improvement. So these are the caching layers that we have in place for Gomag. So going forward to the to the web server. They have a load balanced web server group that is auto-scaled based on CPU, and also have a different worker layer because they have a lot of processing for all the clients, for mails, for jobs, triggers, and stocks, and everything that e-commerce website needs, and 1,000 e-commerce websites need in their case. So we have a separated group for workers that handle all the intense processing, so the web server don't have to do it, and the traffic is not disturbed by anything. And like in the infrastructures that I've shown earlier, we share the disk between those two groups using an NFS server and SSDs disk from DigitalOcean. We back them up with snapshots and with object storage. So this ends the web server layer. And the last layer, which is the most critical, the database layer. Gomag has a lot of databases. Each client has a database, and they have huge amounts of data, which needs to be accessed really frequently, and that's why we split the reads. So we use a master and two slaves, and the proxy SQL provides a single point of entry for the application on to the database layer. We have a HA proxy on each of the web servers that routes traffic to the proxy SQL, and then the proxy SQL instances route the traffic based on a heuristic. Let's say all the reads go to all server, all the writes go, of course, to the master instance, and maybe the crons that need also a lot of read go only to the slaves. So proxy SQL allows you to have your heuristic based on who is making the requests, what the requests are, and also they do caching. They do a lot of caching, as I've said earlier. The databases are backed up with extra backup, and we retain a copy on the local disk, and also we use object storage, of course, for maintaining all their backups for a month. Okay.
Great. Let's bring it all together after we talk about some of their DevOps tools that you guys have helped them with.
Yeah, so because their infrastructure is large, so they have 30, 40, 50 servers, depending on the moment of the day. They have a lot of logs, and their developers debug them really easily through the log aggregation tool. They have a Kibana dashboard, and we send all the logs related to the application, the operating system logs, and also the database logs to identify the slow queries, errors in application, authentication errors, attacks. So they couldn't have an overview of what is happening, of what errors are happening in their infrastructure without a system in place. So what Bunnyshell does is manages the log aggregation, manages the agent that sends the logs, and you can easily add any log that you want to the be centralized, and you can filter them. The enhanced monitoring tool provides a Grafana dashboard, and Bunnyshell maintains it. It adds more dashboards with more overviews. You have infrastructure overview in place, so with a single glance you can see if there are any resources that are used in excess or are not used and can be all cost optimized. You have a business dashboard, so user has full control of the dashboard, so you can have metrics there that tell any metric that is in interest for the business. And also the third dashboard is the Percona management and monitoring tool that allows you to see all the queries that you have, and can help you debug errors, can help you see slow queries and what can be cached, or if you make a deployment and add new queries that slow down the application, you can find them here. It's very difficult to do without if you don't have the right tools in place. So to see a full picture of how Gomag looks on DigitalOcean, this is it. They have this infrastructure which is highly available and auto scales on need.
Yeah, and I think, for everybody out there, this may look complicated, but this is why, not only, Bunnyshell and DigitalOcean exist, but our teams exist, right? This is something we do on almost a weekly basis at this point, is take a look at a customer's infrastructure, understanding if it makes sense to use DigitalOcean and Bunnyshell for, and then working on a plan with them. So we're constantly building these infrastructure diagrams and making sure the customer is comfortable with what they're doing. And then we help them achieve this setup on DigitalOcean and Bunnyshell. So I know some of you may be overwhelmed, but we're talking about a very high traffic platform here. And again, we are here to help you. So you'll see a link for a contact us page in a little bit once we go through some Q&A. Please, please, please reach out to us, and we are happy to help. It's our job. So great. We are going to jump to some Q&A, and just a couple of anecdotes on how some agencies and folks are using DigitalOcean. So you can see if you go and check out our solutions pages online, you'll find many anecdotes from customers on why they're using DigitalOcean and how they're building for success. We are not afraid to work with any size customer. So if you think about our $5 droplets to host something as simple as WordPress to very large deployments that we're doing with Bunnyshell, there are so many possibilities, and we're here to help you. So please, please, please reach out to us with any questions or anything that we can potentially assist with. So Roxana, I think you're going to be excited because we literally talked about this question yesterday, and it's coming to you first. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. So question from Dan. Can you give us examples on what small traffic, medium traffic, and high traffic would mean in terms of concurrent users when talking about some of the deployments we did earlier?
In terms of concurrent users, well, it's really hard to say because not all applications respond the same. But maybe if for large application like Gomag has, I know that they have a million users per month, so I don't know how to say it on a daily basis. The users, I can give you the technical. So technically, we measure it in requests per second. So let's say that a small infrastructure has maybe 15 to 20 requests per second, and maybe a large one has like less than 100. And so if you can correlate that technicality, so 100 requests per second would of course mean more than 100 users, because each time a user hits a website, they hit like 20 more times because they also loaded the images. So that's how we correlate it technically.
Right. And at DigitalOcean, we have customers that run millions of concurrent users, some of our larger customers, and so I think we're talking in terms of e-commerce sites here, but there are endless possibilities as far as how large you can scale, and that's what we're here to help with. So don't be afraid to come with high traffic requests. It's something we're used to. Great. So here's a good one, and again for you, Roxana. So question from Frank: how do you distinguish Bunnyshell from competitors such as Terraform? Love to get some insight on this one.
Okay, so what Terraform does infrastructure management. You can easily create with Terraform the infrastructure. So what Bunnyshell does, it does not only create the infrastructure, but it also manages the infrastructure. So and also manage, and this is only the infrastructure. Bunnyshell also does provisioning and gives you the DevOps tools such as backups and alarms, and also gives you the deployment tools. So you have a flow in place in which you can have your application from Get on your web server. And besides that, it also manages the databases, so you don't have to take care of them. So backups and security and everything you need. So from a certain point, we interact with each other, maybe with infrastructure, but Bunnyshell does much more than that. It does not only do infrastructure.
Thanks. And yeah, I mean, we are big Terraform lovers and fans, but Bunnyshell takes it a step further times 10. And so their platform is going to give you the ability to manage and visualize and connect everything rather than just scaling that infrastructure. So a lot of differences, which is why we urge you to reach out and talk to us if you've got any further questions on Terraform or Bunnyshell and the differences between the two. Another question for you, Roxana. Maybe there'll be some for me. We'll see. Does Bunnyshell utilize only managed databases, or can it work with custom database deployments?
Well, it depends on what custom database deployments mean, but they work with both. If managed databases mean databases that are managed by DigitalOcean, Bunnyshell can work with those. But and also works with databases that are set on simple droplets. So Bunnyshell works with both. So if you want to use DigitalOcean managed databases, that's fine. You can perfectly integrated with the infrastructure, or if you want Bunnyshell managed databases, that's fine as well. They both have advantages. They are both great. So they work with both.
Yeah, so for example, if a customer was looking to manage or self-manage or use our marketplace image for something like a MongoDB, they could still manage that using Bunnyshell. It's just not, the database itself won't be fully managed by DigitalOcean, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying. Great. Another question from Carl for you, Roxana. Does Bunnyshell only work on cloud infrastructure, or could it be used, for example, on infrastructure deployed on our own?
So Bunnyshell builds a cloud infrastructure, but can only be installed on infrastructure already existent. So we have an agent that you can install it on any device that has Ubuntu and CentOS, and you can use Bunnyshell straightforward. So you won't be able to manage the infrastructure of the device you've installed it, because that's logical. I can't resize stuff. But you will have provisioning, monitoring, alerting. So Bunnyshell works great on existing infrastructure, on VPS servers, and on anything that has the operating system that we support. And we also work on adding more operating system and newer versions.
Great. Question from Howard. Is all the Gomag infrastructure in the same data center? And I don't know if we can share this, but I'm sure for highly available, we're talking about multiple data centers without going into specifics.
So Gomag infrastructure, I've shown, for example, the DigitalOcean part. It also has two more servers in another cloud. So to ensure high availability, because that's great because for a website of their league, they have to have for example another backup on another cloud, and that's perfectly normal. And for the databases, no, they are not in the same data center, and that's best practice. Not that we ever had problems, but it is best practice to have replica sets on another location.
Great.
And DigitalOcean supports lots of locations that some of them are near, and you can use them, and for high availability, that is great.
Yeah, and many of our production ready, customers that are hosting large infrastructures with us, they are using multiple data centers, usually a CDN. So very smart to use multiple data centers, and you can even load balance across locations. So really endless possibilities. And again, we've got a lot of expertise here, and happy to walk you through this if needed. Have an inquiry about Bunnyshell and pricing. I don't think we can jump into like too many specifics right now, but I urge you to use the contact us page and reference it, and we'll kick over any inquiries to our team and the Bunnyshell team for follow-up afterwards. So great question. Just please reach out and let us know what we can do to help and share more. Got another question from looks to be Jacobus. Which CDN could be used to speed up sites hosting on DigitalOcean, but client are located in South Africa? So we don't have a CDN built into our Droplet offering. We do on our Spaces offering. I would definitely check out that if you're looking to cache some of the content you have in Spaces. If you are looking for a straight CDN, again, you can reach out to us and we can make an introduction, but we work with a variety of CDN partners from Cloudflare to Fastly. There's so many of them out there, but Cloudflare tends to work really well for a lot of our customers. You saw Bunnyshell using it in some of their examples, so I would check out Cloudflare, and I'm positive that they cache in locations in South Africa. So that would be our recommendation for South America CDN offerings, or South Africa CDN offerings. Sorry. Cool. A couple more questions. Can you talk more about how pricing works on providers, DigitalOcean and Bunnyshell? So I just spoke briefly to this. If you check out our pricing page and Bunnyshell's pricing page, you can see a little bit more. We're happy to always build pricing analysis for you. We do offer migrations as well. So if you contact us and you want to get started and do some testing, please reach out. We'll put up the contact page here in just a sec. I'll probably leave it up now so it's there. We've also got a free trial offer, so please go take advantage of that and let us know how things are going, and I'm sure we can get you set up on Bunnyshell just as easily. I know we can, because that's the whole point of this talk. So please reach out and let us know what we can do there. Pricing for us is very simple. We charge by hour. So if you go to our website, you see the hourly rates and then the monthly rates, which is played out at 672 hours. Now, we charge on demand, so we don't do anything today, such as reserved instances, which is something AWS and the other clouds offer, but stay tuned, there may be some more there. So specifically, why Bunnyshell is really important here is when you think about auto scaling and optimization, right? You may think that you need to have 10 large servers in place to handle peak, but during non-peak time, you're going to be essentially having those resources up with low consumption, which is costing you money. And we don't want you to spend that money on resources you don't need. So this is where Bunnyshell comes in huge and can actually scale down that traffic or scale down those resources during off-peak hours to ensure that you're using the correct resources while you'll scale back up during peak. And that's really, really the smartest way to optimize costs. So again, any questions on pricing, please reference the contact pages and get in touch with us, and we'll be happy to share more. And yeah, that's really all I could say about pricing. It's very straightforward, and we look to be very, very transparent with it. Roxana, any comments on pricing about Bunnyshell?
Yeah, so on Bunnyshell, you have plans based on how many servers you need. So we have 4 plans, and you can check them out on the Bunnyshell website. If you need 5 servers, there's a pricing. If you need 10 or 15 servers, there's another pricing. So you don't pay on resources used on DigitalOcean, also on Bunnyshell. So if you need larger servers, you pay just like a normal server. So it's just based on the server number. And also we have some features that are separately paid, such as enhanced monitoring and log aggregation, that are features, and you can buy them or not if you need them.
Great. We've got a fun message from somebody listening that I believe, and excuse me for pronunciation, Amitba, it's your 7-year anniversary using DigitalOcean. It's my 4-year anniversary next week working here. So we share similar large milestones. So thanks for being a customer for so long. Really great to see. You probably just started with the droplet and hopefully have expanded. So that's awesome to see the journey there. Let's take a few more questions, Roxana, and then we'll wrap up for folks here. And thank you for joining us. I know tomorrow is a holiday for folks in the North America, so appreciate you all joining here on Wednesday. Let's see. How can you tune servers and applications for maximum performance using Bunnyshell?
So the first layer that you should look is the operating system. As I've said earlier, there are some limitations that are in place when creating new droplets, and that's available for every cloud and all new operating systems that are installed. So you should look up to those, and then you should look the network, how the droplet, how the instance is configured for how it has the network configurations. After you finish with that, you should tune the application. So the first thing you should do is ensure the caching layers, and there are multiple caching layers you can use. You can use CDNs, you can use HTTP proxies, you can use database caching, you can use like opcache for PHP application, and caches that are available for certain programming languages, and you should see that the caching layers are in place. And after that, you should look at the resources. When you maximize a single droplet to use and get everything out of it, then you can think about scaling. Start with little servers, tune them, and then think how should I scale, but resolve the problem for a single instance first.
Great, thanks. And we have a few more, but I just want to mention this whole webinar is being recorded, as well as the questions. So you should be able to see this up later today, even on our YouTube site and on our actual site in the community section. So if you want to reference this, share it with your colleagues, come find out how to get in touch with us. You'll see this talk later on. I have a question for the DigitalOcean team. So for myself, what's the fastest way to get started? So obviously we've built 2 self-service businesses here. So you can go and try out right now. There's a link for you to get started. Of course, if you're looking to get the expertise of Bunnyshell and DigitalOcean, again, we've worked on 200+ customers together. We're deep in a few migrations right now and consistently doing exciting things together. Just get in touch with us. We're very friendly. We're transparent. We're honest. If we don't think it's a good fit, we're not going to try and force Bunnyshell or DigitalOcean on you. We want you to have the best experience possible. And at the end of the day, we want to make sure you and your business are successful in your infrastructure journey. So if we can help, we'd love to. But if not, we'll shake hands as friends and walk away. So again, just let us know if you need anything. We're always here to help. Let's wrap up with one last question. I think
Also on that, you can try out Bunnyshell. It offers a 15-day trial, and you can check out any plan that Bunnyshell offers. So in 15-day, you can choose to use the 30 servers plan, so you would see how your infrastructure would look in Bunnyshell. So try it out.
Yeah, definitely try it out. I'm a customer, so my small WordPress sites, but it's still really interesting, and especially for someone who's not super technical, to be able to understand and utilize something like Bunnyshell is huge for me. It took away a lot of the complexities that I was curious about as well. So I think that speaks to the simplicity, which is something we both strive for, in our day to day. So please, please, please check us out. We're really excited to see what folks are going to be building on DigitalOcean and Bunnyshell moving forward. Let's leave you with one last question, Roxana. So obviously performance and stability are things we've been talking about, and really, really important, no matter what business you're in, even if you're talking about your own, small WordPress blog or e-commerce shop, you're selling, maybe some hats or shirts, uptime and performance are really important. So how do you, on a day-to-day basis, scale and identify performance issues across applications and infrastructures for your clients?
So if you want to identify the issues in your application, you need the monitoring. So first thing you want to do is have the overview of all your infrastructure. And why this is because a problem that may be related to the web server, or a problem that may be related to the database, can cause problems in other resources. So having an overview of what is happening in terms of system metrics like CPU and RAM, just simple metrics, or networking, and an overview of all the infrastructure can help you find bottlenecks, can help you check if there are any errors that are happening at a certain time. Maybe you would have a cron that is in place at that hour. So first thing, you should have monitoring in place, and the second thing, you should have logs. So if there is any error, if there is any warning, or there is any limit that is in place, you should know. So this is the first thing that you should do in order to make your infrastructure more proficient for production environment.
Great, and that's something we can help you with again. So please reach out. Somebody else asked to take a look into the Bunnyshell dashboard. I don't think, unfortunately, we have enough time. Plus, I've learned my lessons from live demos. Only kidding. So again, you've got some trials that you can utilize here, but please, let us know how we can help, and we're happy to take you through any demos on both of our platforms, or even together. We take calls together, again, almost weekly. So we're very used to it. Again, you see the contact us page here. So if you've got any questions, please reach out. We can direct you over to Bunnyshell too. We have our link here. You can see some of the benefits and some of the tutorials we've kind of worked on together. And then, of course, if you want to learn more about our customers, you can see all of the customers hosting on DigitalOcean. Not all. There's a couple 100,000, more than 500,000. But we've highlighted some of our great use cases on our customers page and our solutions page. Like I said, thanks everyone so much for joining. We had a wonderful audience, lots of interactions and questions. I really look forward to some of the follow-up we'll see here. And we look forward to hosting our next webinar in just a few weeks. Thank you, Roxana and the Bunnyshell team, for being our partners and hanging out with us today. I think I personally really enjoyed this talk. I learned some, and I think Roxana is going to show us the inspiration behind Bunnyshell before we go.
So the real person behind Bunnyshell. So she is the real person behind Bunnyshell and our source of inspiration.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Roxana. It was a pleasure. I look forward to seeing the team in person as soon as we get past the hump here. I hope everyone has a great holiday if you're celebrating Thanksgiving tomorrow. Thankful for all of our wonderful customers and partners. And have a great day, everyone. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.